What's up everybody, Grant here from Spectre Racing. So what is Optima and how did I prepare my car for it? Well, first of all, Optima is a 2-day racing event at various motorsports parks around the country. It really consists of 5 different events within those 2 days at a particular course. In my case, I'm preparing for Daytona International Speedway and New Orleans Motorsports Park. So those 5 events are starting with design and engineering. Now, one thing about Optima is it really stresses about being the car builder. Having a stock car, you're really not going to do well. It's not to say you can enter in your stock car and have a ton of fun, but the first category is really going to benefit that, sort of the modification level of your car. So the design and engineering. So some examples of what the rules in design and engineering are, the more modified your car is, more unique, the more points you're going to get. You actually have a 2-minute presentation on why you built your car and what you've done to it. Now some things like, for instance, I'm going to lose points on, I don't have air conditioning in the car, I don't really have a sound system. So next up is the road rally. The road rally is pretty straightforward. You drive to a location, drive back, take a picture on social media. It's really just proving that your car is streetable. You can drive on the street. So after that is autocross. Autocross is pretty straightforward. I have a lot of experience with it. Standard SCC autocross, running around cones, less than a minute long course, less than 80 miles an hour. So next up is something pretty fun and pretty unique. It's the speed stop. The speed stop is about an 1/8 mile drag race down. You turn around, come back, you stop in the box. So that'll be really fun. That way you can kind of have a little bit of the drag racing kind of fun aspect to that. And lastly is the road course. So the road course is kind of why I've been doing a lot of changes to the car and making it a little bit safer. So obviously in this video we're not going to go over everything I've done to the car because I've been building it for like the last 7 years. I have linked up below all the build videos I've put on this car. It should consist of pretty much everything. So the most important thing going into Optima is seat time. It's your seat time, seat time, seat time. You can build the car all you want. You can get all those D&E points. You can get the road rally points, which are 0-100 anyway. But not knowing how to drive it, not knowing how to drive it fast, you're just not going to do well. So you got to get that seat time. So that's obviously something I've been working on getting more of, especially running street tires now, as you cannot run racing slicks in Optima. It's the Ultimate Street Car Challenge. So being that, the last couple months, starting a few months ago, been trying to do more track days. First starting up was at the firm. Now unfortunately, December 8th, it was of course pouring rain in Florida, and had a bit of trouble, as you can see in some of this footage here. Now I was running the 335/30/18 Arrival S tires. They are not good rain tires at all. You can see in some of these instances here, I was driving completely straight or just dabbed throttle a little bit after coming out of a turn and just spun right around. So, it's a good experience to have, especially if it rains in April at the first Optima event. I know that I would honestly just be really screwed, and I'm going to actually look into getting a set of rain tires and just kind of leave the Rivals as the racing tires. And the rain tires would be like a street tire to drive around town. So after the firm track day, it really became evident that I needed to fix the exhaust. Now, I've seen in a couple previous videos, I've had a lot of trouble with the exhaust, it falling off after doing the built motor. Car makes too much power for the butt joints it was using. It actually fell off at Road Atlanta, and I had the Honda racing team had to weld it back together for me. But I actually kind of band-aided it back together after that, and it had been pretty good, but one thing, it's too loud. Now, having a street car that's too loud, that's cool and everything, but a lot of these racetracks have a decibel limit. It's usually around 96, some can be as low as 90, and that is no bueno when your car is blowing almost 100. So one of the things I did is I really didn't actually make it quieter, but what you can do is redirect the noise to a different location. So I did exhaust dumps. You can see in these pictures here. It's a twin Borla XR1s. It's a 3-inch inlet and outlet. They dump right before the rear axle. Now I did have to insulate the gas tanks. I don't really know if it'll get hot enough just sitting there a few minutes idling, but I saw some of the other people that have done this and they all insulated the gas tanks and some of the things around that. So unfortunately I really wasn't able to test how much quieter it was at a specific microphone, but according to a lot of corner workers and stuff, that have known my car for years, they were just astounded at how much quieter it was at a distance, and that's because all the sound is pointed towards the ground. So after that, I wanted to get it tuned, but unfortunately didn't time out right, so I had to do a autocross. So at this autocross, it was very cold, and I had bought a set of tire blankets, wanted to test driving in the cold. I don't think it's going to be cold in April at Optima, but you never know. And got to try out these tire blankets at the Amelia Airport Autocross. Now the tire blankets actually work great. Unfortunately, you really need a pit crew to use them. So what would happen is I'd come back from a run, put the tire blankets on, they would hold the tire temperature, in the high 90s, low 100s. And what would happen is when I'd see 3 cars to go, I'd take them off, get in the car, get buckled in, and then I'd wait, go up to the starting line, and by that time the tires got cold. So what you really need is like a pit crew / significant other to help you out, so you can take those tire covers off right when you're pulling up to the starting line. So after that, I went back to VMP, and I wanted to get it tuned for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to make sure the car is still running great. If you watched the previous build videos, the motor is built now, and I put probably 500 miles, 600 miles on it since the first tune and a bunch of track days and autocrosses. I had some minor hesitation after doing the exhaust, and I just wanted to see if the exhaust made any difference at all. So it was only $250 to do another tune update. Got the car in the dyno tune and made 521 wheel horsepower, 450 wheel torque, which is 7 more horsepower and 6 less torque. So being that the exhaust inlet and outlet diameters were about a ½ inch bigger now than they used to be, it's kind of be expected to lose a little bit of torque and gain a little bit of horsepower. Okay, so after that, I took the car and got a roll bar installed. So with it, running a road course, I had been running a harness bar. Now harness bars are great for autocross, some HPDE, but there have been, reports of them bending and snapping in really hard crashes. So I wanted to have a proper roll cage. Now that's not to say you need this. For me, it's a race car, it should have a roll cage and, just that extra layer of safety, especially with running harnesses. So it is a drag racing cage. It's unfortunately the best cage I could get. That's not to say really the only difference is going to be that crossover bar. It's an 8-point, which is still better than any 4-point roll bar that I could have gotten, and it's a lot better than my 2-point harness bar. So some of the other safety we have to do, if you want to run harnesses at these Optima events, you have to make sure that the FIA rating is in date. Mine had just expired on my old Corbeau harnesses. So got a new Corbeau harness and actually replaced one of my passenger faux racing seat with another Corbeau, so I finally have matching seats. So after that, seat time. Got back to doing seat time at Brooksville Autocross. This time the ambient air temperature and the ground temperature were perfect, not too cold, not too hot, and really got a great feel of the car with some new rear aero that I did with the new trunk spoiler. Although I don't know how much it's really going to help. And more experience with the street tires that I haven't run on in years. I've been running Hoosiers the last few years. So one of the things I found is definitely needs less rear bar or no rear sway bar whatsoever. Still very, oversteer happy, which is to be expected obviously with the weight balance not being perfect. So lastly, what's next? Well, as you can see behind me, got to paint the roll bar. It's just mild steel, and got to get it painted, put a rust inhibitor, put a nice red paint job on it, get it look nice and pretty, get those D&E points for Optima. And next up is more seat time. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on how I prep my car for Optima. And make sure to tune in. I'm going to do a Rolling Road race video, and obviously we're going to do the full Optima video at Daytona International Speedway, running the Rolex course. Thanks for watching.